Asia, sacred guardians of myth. Where myth meets reality. Asia, the land where myth and memory interweave like temple vines. Here the wild doesn't roar, it whispers. Beneath ancient stones and through forest shadows, sacred guardians walk unseen. And if we're quiet enough, humble enough, they'll teach us about grace, solitude, and the deadly cost of superstition. The tiger, walking between worlds. The tiger as a teacher. In the dappled light of a forest in India, a tiger moves like a prayer, silent, purposeful, and is gone before you're sure she was real. For thousands of years, she's been both deity and demon, respected and feared. She's Durga's mount in Hindu tradition, the guardian of the forest in Chinese mythology. She exists in the liminal space between the sacred and the wild. A single tiger maintains the health of an entire forest ecosystem. She culls the sick and weak, thus preventing overgrazing. Where tigers thrive, forests thrive. Rivers run cleaner and biodiversity explodes. And the lesson we can learn? The tiger teaches us about power used wisely. She could kill daily, but she doesn't. She takes what she needs, nothing more. She lives at the apex, not through excess, but through precision. In a world drowning in overconsumption, the tiger asks us, what if having power meant knowing when not to use it? She also teaches us about solitude, not as loneliness, but as wholeness. A tiger doesn't need a pack to know who she is. She's complete unto herself. On the razor's edge. In 1900, there were 100,000 tigers across Asia. By 2010, there were 3,200. We nearly lost them. But then something remarkable happened. In 2010, at the first Tiger Summit in St. Petersburg, 13 countries made a promise to double wild tiger populations by 2022. And they did it. India now has over 3,000 tigers. Nepal's tiger population has more than doubled. China recorded wild tiger populations for the first time in years. This happened because communities living with tigers were given alternatives to poaching, because habitat corridors were created, and because people decided the tiger was worth more alive than dead. The warning: but the tiger is still not safe. Only 7% of their historic range remains. And here's what we're learning. Saving the tiger means saving entire landscapes. You can't conserve a top predator without conserving everything beneath. The snow leopard, the grace of letting go. The snow leopard as a teacher. High in the Himalayas, where the air is thin and the rocks are ancient, walks the snow leopard, the ghost of the mountains. She doesn't chase the world, she watches it. She exists in landscapes so harsh, so remote, that simply surviving is a form of mastery. You could spend years in her territory and never see her. Not because she's hiding, because she's so perfectly adapted that she's become part of the mountain itself. And the lesson we can learn? In our age of constant visibility, constant documentation, constant "look at me," the snow leopard teaches us about the power of not needing to be seen. She shows us that you don't have to be loud to matter, that sometimes the most profound existence is the quietest, that grace isn't performance, it's how you move through the world when no one's watching. She teaches us about adaptation and about making beauty from hardship. Her enormous paws distribute weight in snow. Her long tail provides balance on cliffs and warmth when she sleeps. Every feature is an answer to a question the mountain asked. The hidden crisis. There are perhaps 4,000 snow leopards left, but no one knows for sure as they are that elusive. They're killed for their pelts, but more often they're killed in retaliation when they take livestock. Livestock that now grazes in their territory because human settlements have climbed even higher up the mountains. But there's hope. Communities across Nepal, Mongolia and Pakistan are developing snow leopard-proof corrals for livestock. They're creating insurance programs so herders don't lose their livelihoods when a snow leopard hunts. They're learning to coexist, and it's working. Revenge killings are decreasing and tourist programs bring money to remote villages. The ghost is learning to live alongside us. The Asian elephant, the paradox of worship. The Asian elephant as a teacher. In the forests of India and Thailand, the Asian elephant moves not as a traveler, but as a creator. She pushes down trees, opening clearings where sunlight floods the forest floor and new life erupts. She digs water holes that dozens of species depend on. She carries seeds in her gut for miles, planting forests as she walks. She's a living architect, reshaping landscapes, maintaining ecosystems and building worlds. And for thousands of years, humans have recognized something sacred in her. She carries Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. She appears in Buddhist Jataka tales as the Buddhist's past incarnation. White elephants are considered divine, harbingers of peace and prosperity. No other wild animal has been so worshipped, so revered, so loved. And the lesson we can learn? The Asian elephant teaches us the most painful paradox, that worship is not the same as protection, that you can call something sacred and still destroy it. She shows us that gentle power is still power. She could demolish a village, but she walks carefully around it. She could crush a human, but more often, she simply tries to pass through, to reach the forest on the other side of our fields. In a world that equates power with aggression, the elephant asks, what if true strength is restraint? What if the mightiest among us are those who choose, again and again, not to use their force? She also teaches us about the cost of being useful, because humans didn't just worship elephants, we captured them, trained them, and put them to work in logging camps, temples, and tourism. We turned reverence into servitude. On the razor's edge. There are fewer than 50,000 Asian elephants left in the wild, a fraction of their African cousins. But here's what makes their situation unique. Nearly a third of Asian elephants live in captivity. Temple elephants that are paraded in festivals, tourist elephants giving rides, and working elephants who still haul logs in some regions. They are simultaneously sacred and enslaved. In the wild, they face a different crisis: habitat fragmentation. As forests are cleared for agriculture, elephant migration routes and paths they followed for centuries are cut in half by farms, roads, and villages. So elephants do what their instincts demand and keep walking. They walk through the rice paddies, banana plantations, and through human settlements. And when they do, conflict erupts. Crops are destroyed and sometimes people die. And in retaliation, elephants are poisoned, electrocuted, or shot. Over 100 elephants and 400 people die every year in India alone from human-elephant conflict. A glimmer of hope. But here's where hope enters. Communities are building elephant corridors, which are protected pathways that reconnect fragmented forests. In India's Nilgiri Hills and in Thailand's Dorna Range, elephants are beginning to move freely again. Early warning systems using sensors and SMS alerts notify farmers when elephants approach, giving them time to protect crops without harming the animals. Some villages use beehive fences as elephants naturally avoid bees. This creates gentler living boundaries. Sanctuaries are emerging for captive elephants. Places where temple elephants can retire and where working elephants can simply rest. Organizations like Wildlife SOS are rescuing elephants from abusive situations and giving them space to heal. And slowly, the definition of sacred is shifting. From ownership to coexistence, from parade animals to wild beings, from commodity to guardian. The warning. The Asian elephant is teaching us something urgent, that reverence without action is just performance, that you cannot worship something on Sunday and destroy its home on Monday. She's asking us to make our love practical, to translate devotion into corridor creation and to turn prayer into protection. As the elephant has carried our gods, our timber and our tourists, now it's our turn to carry something for them. A commitment to let them walk their ancient paths in peace. The red panda, the canary in the forest. The red panda as a teacher. In the temperate forests of the eastern Himalayas, where mist clings to bamboo and rhododendrons bloom in impossible colors, lives a creature most people have never even heard of. The red panda. She's not a panda despite her name, not a bear, not quite a raccoon. She's her own ancient lineage, a living fossil, a reminder that some beings exist outside our neat categories. She spends most of her life in the trees, eating, sleeping, even giving birth in the canopy. She's a master of her vertical world, using her long bushy tail for balance and warmth. She eats almost exclusively bamboo, though she's a carnivore by design. She's made peace with a diet that barely sustains her, that requires her to eat for 13 hours a day just to survive. She's a specialist, and that specialization is both her genius and her vulnerability. And the lesson we can learn? The red panda teaches us about the double edge of adaptation. She shows us that being perfectly suited to one environment can mean being completely unsuited to change. She's adapted so precisely to temperate bamboo forests at specific altitudes with specific temperatures that she cannot simply move when conditions shift. When the climate warms, when the forests are cut, when the bamboo flowers and dies, she has nowhere to go. No plan B, no flexibility. In our rapidly changing world, the red panda asks, what happens when the thing you've built for disappears? She also teaches us about being an indicator species, a living thermometer of ecosystem health. If red pandas are thriving, the forest is healthy. If they're struggling, everything is struggling. She's the canary in the coal mine, except the mine is the forest, and we're not listening to the warning. And she teaches us about the invisibility of crisis. She's adorable. She's been a meme. Yet most people don't even know she exists in the wild, let alone that she's vanishing. She shows us that charisma doesn't guarantee protection, that being overlooked can be deadly. The razor's edge. There are fewer than 10,000 red pandas left in the wild, scattered across fragmented forests in Nepal, India, Bhutan, Myanmar and China. Their population has declined by 50% in the last 20 years. They face a cascade of threats: deforestation for agriculture and timber, livestock grazing that degrades bamboo understories, poaching for their distinctive pelts, and increasingly climate change. As temperatures rise, the cool, moist forests they depend on are shrinking, pushing upward to higher altitudes where there's nowhere left to go. And here's the cruel irony. Red pandas live in some of the most biodiverse regions on Earth, the eastern Himalayas, a global biodiversity hotspot. Protecting them means protecting entire ecosystems. But those same regions are under tremendous human pressure. Bamboo forests are being cleared, migration corridors are being cut, and red pandas, who need large territories and continuous forest cover, are being trapped in shrinking islands of habitat. The glimmer. But awareness is growing, slowly, quietly, like the red panda herself. Community-based conservation programs in Nepal and Bhutan are working with local people to protect forest corridors. Farmers are being compensated for not cutting bamboo. Alternative livelihoods like bamboo handicrafts and ecotourism are giving communities economic reasons to protect red panda habitat. The Red Panda Network has trained hundreds of forest guardians. These are local people who monitor red panda populations, remove snares, educate communities, and restore degraded habitat. Captive breeding programs are establishing insurance populations, though everyone knows the real solution is protecting the wild habitat. And something unexpected is happening. The red panda is becoming a symbol, not just of cuteness, but of fragility, of what we could lose when we fragment forests, of the price of ignoring the small and the overlooked. The warning. The red panda is teaching us something urgent, that specialization without resilience is a gamble, that the world rewards adaptability now more than ever, that the creatures who cannot pivot, cannot migrate, cannot adjust, they need us to stabilize the world they were built for. She's also teaching us that we don't get to choose which species matter. She may not be as iconic as the tiger, as majestic as the elephant, as mysterious as the snow leopard, but she's a thread in the same tapestry. Pull her out and the whole thing begins to unravel. Because when the red panda disappears, it won't be alone. The forest will follow, and with it, hundreds of other species we haven't even named yet. The red panda is asking us, will you notice the quiet ones before they're gone? In closing, what Asia teaches us. Asia's sacred guardians teach us that power and restraint are not opposites, they're partners. That invisibility can be strength, that worship means nothing without protection, and that the overlooked often carry the most urgent warnings. The tiger shows us precision. The snow leopard shows us grace. The elephant shows us the gap between reverence and respect. The red panda shows us fragility. They aren't just philosophical lessons, they're blueprints for survival in a world that's changing faster than evolution can keep up. Here are a few reflection questions. Where in your life are you using more power than necessary? Where could restraint serve you better? Can you find wholeness in solitude? Or do you need constant connection to feel complete? What do you claim to value that your actions don't protect? Who in your life or in the world is sending warning signals that you're ignoring? And what myths do you believe that might not withstand scrutiny? And what you can do? Never purchase products made from endangered species, especially traditional medicine containing tiger, pangolin or other wildlife parts. Support organizations like the Snow Leopard Trust, Wildlife Conservation Society and Red Panda Network. If you travel to Asia, choose tour operators committed to ethical wildlife viewing that benefits local communities. Advocate for wildlife corridors and forest protection. Fragmentation is killing Asia's species. Educate others. Most people have never heard of red pandas or snow leopards. Change that. And you can support community-led conservation programs that give local people alternatives to poaching and habitat destruction. The sacred guardians have been mythologized, feared, worshipped and exploited. Now they need something simpler. Respect, space and a chance to simply exist. The guardians are waiting. Shall we continue?